Hello everyone, I'm Michelle Smith and welcome to Team One's multimedia presentation. My teammates and I decided to explore 3 amazing virtual environments that would allow us to design instruction for teaching biomes to 7th grade science students. We invite you to tour these potential learning spaces as we provide an overview of how Second Life could be used in a secondary classroom. Come check out what we discovered.
Hello everyone, my name is Eric Rodriguez. My partner Sandra and I will be giving you an overview of how we chose the Grand Canyon in Second Life as an educational tool to take a potential science class on a biome tour. Second Life makes it easy for those students with disabilities to experience such wonders of the world without having to physically travel there. And so we begin by using digital note cards like these on the top left corner that we will distribute amongst our students to facilitate locations we will travel. So if in case they get lost or they don't know where we're going to travel to next, they can quickly access the note cards by clicking on the top left corner on the suitcase icon, and then they can quickly navigate and rejoin the class within the Second Life environment. A Grand Canyon is basically a main desert and a grassland biome that contains several ecosystems within it. And so our first stop is going to be the riparian ecosystem. So we're going to click on Crater Lake to go to the riparian ecosystem. And some of the elements needed to be considered a riparian ecosystem is a year-long water supply. And here we have the waterfall, which in this case will provide water year-round. Lush vegetation surrounding the water source, which you can see if you look around. There's a lot of vegetation around the water source. And some of the animals that are thriving in here are going to be the canyon tree frog, the otters, and even some skunks. My partner Sandra will be taking over next, and she will be taking you in another part of the Grand Canyon. So Sandra, you can take it away.
Thank you, Eric. I will continue the field trip. Our next section is the desert biome. The majority of the Grand Canyon is a desert. As a teacher, you can take your students through a virtual tour of this section of the Grand Canyon to analyze and observe the features of a desert. You can see that there are very minimal vegetation. So if you were to do this, you can actually see from here that there's very minimal vegetation. There's a little bit of cacti, a little bit of trees, but there's very minimal vegetation. Also, as for animals, very few animals and plants actually exist because they've been able to adapt to the hot and dry place. The temperature can get up to 100 degrees. So this is one section that I would love to take my students. It is the Skywalk. It's a class. This is actually part of the Grand Canyon. If I was in person, I'm not sure that I would do this. But as a teacher, I can see the benefits of taking my students. I can see this. They can see the side of the Grand Canyon. They can see the water right under. But also they can hear the dry wind. So it has a lot of benefits. It's very cost effective for you to do this instead of going in person. But they get to see the actual Grand Canyon. They can see the desert biome and observe and analyze the different features. Thank you.
Welcome to our underwater adventure. Approximately 70% of the Earth's surface is covered in water from oceans, and there are 5 ocean biomes in the world. This virtual one that we're standing in is representative of the Pacific Ocean. And although there are very few relevant interactive elements found here, it's still a good place for students to actively explore. So Rose and I are going to tell you a little bit about how we would use this with our students. The first thing they need to understand is the flora found in oceans. It's essential. And with some guidance, students would have the opportunity to make connections with the sea moss that's standing beneath our feet, also with the large kelp forest that's growing behind us, and with the microscopic phytoplankton that's all around us that we can't see with our naked eyes. So using a combination of other resources, this environment provides an opportunity for students to discover the multiple functions and uses of each one of these flora items and more without having to put on some real scuba gear. So We'll meet you further down the moss path where Rose will provide you with some information about how the animals thrive and live here and what students can learn from them.
Hi, here is a sample of an aquatic biome. If you notice, there's several classes of fish. For a lesson, I would bring my class to this area and talk about the different species of fish. I would have them categorize them. Depending on the grade level, I would have them draw or color the fish. Then I would go in the ecosystem. You can have the students conduct research online and create a presentation on their favorite fish or plant. You can create so many lessons from just this one area. The possibilities are endless.
Hello and welcome to Yosemite National Park. We are currently located in California. The Yosemite National Park was created in 1890. The park is roughly 1,189 square miles, or the size of the state Rhode Island. It currently sees over 4 million visitors a year. The main biome in this area of Yosemite is taiga. However, there is a section of temperate forest biome. There are 5 distinct zones in Yosemite. The first one is the foothill woodland zone. Next is the lower montane zone, followed by the upper montane zone. We have the subalpine zone and the alpine zone. Follow me. We're going to go over to the trees and the plants. As you can see, we're passing some giant sequoias. There's 3 different sequoias here in Yosemite. We have over approximately 1,500 species of plants in Yosemite. The most common types of plants are the monkey flower, the beard tongue, the parasitic plant, shooting stars, asters, buttercups, and lupines. And a little bit about the climate here. Yosemite's climate is strongly influenced by elevation and by the mountainous terrain. Precipitation is moderately high and falls mostly as snow during the winter. And annual total precipitation in the valley averages about 36 inches, and snowfall averages about 65 inches. This concludes my part.
Another feature that we found in this site is the waterfall, and the waterfall is a good example to explain to students that it's a year-round water supply. The waterfall is part of the reason for the shaping of the land that's here in Yosemite National Park. And the waterfall carries sediments and is also responsible for weathering and eroding the rocks into the river, which leads us to the next feature of this site, the river. The river is a runoff from the waterfall and contributes to the water cycle and is partly the reason for the weather and climate in this area. The river is also a water source for the animals and plants that live nearby. For some animals, it is also a food source. For example, bears hunt salmon in this area. If you go wander into the forest, you will find some of the animals that inhabit this area. Some animals that are scattered throughout the forest survive here due to their adaptations. The mountain lions are predators of this forest. Their large paws and tail help them jump great heights and balance them when catching their prey. The deer survive due to their camouflage with the foliage. Their coat changes to match the colors of the seasons, either gray for winter or red for summer. The bear survived by being one of the top predators and hibernating during the winter. This concludes our presentation for Yosemite National Park.
Thank you for exploring biomes in Second Life with us, and we encourage you to keep exploring for other educational opportunities that Second Life may provide.